Hello everyone, this is Mr. Underkoffler. Today we're looking at the guided notes called Markups and Sales Tax. Alright, follow along with me here. A markup refers to the amount of increase from the wholesale cost for an item to the selling price of that item. And if you're not familiar with what wholesale cost is, I have it here in parentheses. It is how much the store paid to get the item before they end up selling it at the selling price. The markup percent is always applied to the wholesale cost. And you'll see what I mean by that over here. How the percent in decimal form will get multiplied to the wholesale cost, which is also known as the cost to make or acquire the item. Markups increase your price. So the original price is 100% of itself. We're going to add it by the percent of markup. That will give us the percent that we as the customer pay. And we'll put that in decimal form, as I already said. We'll take that times the wholesale cost, and that will equal the selling price. Now, sales tax is another type of percent of increase. It's an additional amount of money charged by the state or federal government on certain items. Sales tax percent is always applied to the original price. And like I said, like markup, it is going to increase your price. So the original price is 100% of itself, plus the percent of tax will give you the percent that you as the customer pays. You'll put that in decimal form times the original price, and that will equal the final price. One of the key things I need you to know here is that the markup percent is always applied to the wholesale cost. Wholesale cost is kind of like the original cost. And the sales tax percent is also always applied to the original price. That is a key common thing here. You'll never multiply the markup or sales tax percent to the final selling price. Never. It'll always be multiplied to the wholesale cost in the case of markups or the original price in the case of sales tax. All right, let's look at some examples together. We're going to show our work as we solve each problem, round to the nearest cent if necessary. Problem number 1, a TV purchased in a state that has a 6.5% sales tax rate. Find the final price if the retail price of the TV is $348. All right, this is a sales tax, which will increase the price. The original price of the TV is 100% of itself, so we will always start with 100%, and then we will add or subtract. If it's a discount, we will subtract, but if it's sales tax or markup, we will add, and that will give you the percent you pay. I hope you're writing this down. Now, from here, we'll put this in decimal form, just like we talked about here at the top, decimal form for the percent, which means we're going to move that decimal point 2 places to the left, like we have always been doing so far in this unit, to get that to go into decimal form. Now, that's going to get multiplied to the original price to equal the final price. Did the problem tell us the original price? Well, it did. I can tell right here that the problem is literally telling me to find the final price. And as we mentioned up here at the above, final price is what you get as a result from multiplying the percent of decimal form times the original price. So that is the unknown final price. That's going to go here. The retail price is a fancy way of saying the original price before tax is applied. So that is what the percent in decimal form will get multiplied to. All right, since the variable is already by itself, we're just going to go ahead and use our calculator. Go ahead and do this along with me. And you should get $370.62 is the final price. Put a dollar sign on that answer. Problem number 2, the manufacturing cost for making a smartphone is $416. Find the selling price if the percent of markup is 92%. All right, the original manufacturing cost is 100% of itself. It is getting marked up by 92%, so it's going to increase by 92%, which means we as the customer will pay 192% of the manufacturing cost. Let's put that in decimal form. It's going to get multiplied to, well, at the top of your page, we said the wholesale cost or cost to make it. The manufacturing cost is the cost for making the cell phone. So that is what you're going to multiply this 192% in decimal form. You're going to multiply it to it. And that's going to equal, on problem number 1, we called it the final price. But if you look at the wording here on this problem, it said find the selling price, which is kind of like the final price here. It's the price we as the customer actually pays. So you can call that P if you want, or S, unless your S's look like 5s. And again, our variable is by itself, so we're just going to go ahead and multiply this in our calculator. Go ahead and do that. And that should give you $798.72. Put a dollar sign on the answer. All right, problem number 3. Why don't you try this one on your own? Let's see if you've understood what I've been teaching you so far. So hit pause on the video, try number 3, just number 3. Don't even do number 4 yet, just number 3. Hit pause, try it right now. All right, have you already done problem number 3? If not, hit pause. We have a sales tax, so that's going to increase the price. The original cost is 100% of itself. That means we pay 104.5% of the original price. We will move that decimal point 2 places to the left, and that's the decimal form. We're going to multiply it to the cost that was before the sales tax, which was $49.99, and that's going to help us to find the total cost after tax. Cost after tax is the final cost, or total final cost. You multiplied. Your calculator gave you more digits than what you needed, so you're going to round to the nearest cent. And since the 9 in the thousands place value is 5 or more, then the hundredths place value, which is where the cents will always end, is going to have to go up. $52.24. All right, now let me guide you through here. Problem number 4. Bit of a different problem, and you probably aren't going to realize quite yet until we look at this together. After an 84% markup, the selling price of the shirt is $29.99. What was the wholesale cost of the shirt? Are you catching how this is different? They didn't say find the selling price. They want you to find the wholesale cost. If you go back up to the top of your page, the wholesale cost is the one that's always multiplied at the percent in decimal form. So our variable on problem number 4 is going to be the wholesale cost. That's over here on the right, multiplied to the percent in decimal form. Problem number 4 gave me the selling price. So that price is going to go over here on the left side of the equal sign. So that's how this problem is different. However, a markup still increases the price, so we're still going to open up with 100% plus the markup percent, giving us, we as the customer, paying 184% of the wholesale cost. Put that in decimal form. But we don't know the wholesale cost, and the percent is always multiplied to the original cost, or in this case, wholesale cost. So I'm going to go ahead and call that W for unknown wholesale cost, and that's going to equal the selling price that we as the customer pays. So different than problem number 2, where we were already given the wholesale cost and we had to find the selling price. This time we already know the selling price. We don't know the wholesale cost. That's why the variable is over here. All right, inverse multiplication is division. Write this down on both sides. Use your calculator to take $29.99 divided by 1.84, and you will get more digits than you need once again, so round to the nearest cent. The 8 in the thousands makes the 9 round up to a 10. You have to carry the 1, making the $16.30. Now, you're going to have to watch out for problems like number 4, where they already give you the selling price, or the case of sales tax. Maybe they already give you the final price and they ask you to find the original. Keep in mind, it's the wholesale cost or the original cost in the case of sales tax that is always multiplied at the percent in decimal form. The final price or the selling price is always on the other side of the equal sign, not being multiplied by the percent in decimal form. Keep that in mind, because there might be another problem coming up that's kind of like problem number 4. All right, I want you to try number 5, 6, and 7 on your own. Read the problems carefully. Make sure you know what you're solving for, whether it's the final price, selling price, or the original cost or wholesale cost. Make sure you know what you are solving for. Hit pause in the video, do 5, 6, and 7 on your own, and then hit play when you're ready to see how you did. Okay, have you already done 5, 6, and 7? Let's check out your work. Adding the sales tax to 100% gives us the percent we pay. Did you move that decimal point 2 places to the left, making this become 1.0725? that should be multiplied to the original cost. Or you could say the cost before tax. And if you read the words, they tell us what the tablet cost before tax. It didn't say original, but we can tell from the context clues. The cost that happens before tax, that's the original cost. We are trying to find what the final cost is. So this is what your work should look like. If you mess it up, hit pause now and fix what you got to fix. Multiplying, we're going to get more numbers than we need. Round to the nearest cent. Okay, problem number 6. Sales tax once again. 100% plus the percent of sales tax is going to give us, as the customer, paying 106% of the original cost. Put that in decimal form. This says he couldn't remember the original listed price before tax. What was it? So, if you paid attention to these words, you're going to see the original price is the unknown, the price before tax was applied. So, your variable should be over here. The percent in decimal form is always multiplied to the original price, or in the case of markups, the wholesale cost. We already know the price after tax. The price after tax is the final price. So that's why we're not going to put F over here on the left for final price as an unknown. It's not unknown. We know the final price is $34.45. So inverse operations, inverse of multiplying is dividing. If you already realize you messed this up, please hit pause now and fix what you got to fix. Final answer is 32.5 in your calculator, but you guys should know with dollars and cents, there needs to be 2 digits to the right of the decimal point. So this 0 here is not optional since we're talking about dollars and cents. And finally, problem number 7, we got a markup. So add that percent to the percent, well, to 100% because the original cost, wholesale cost of the skateboard is 100% of itself. It means we're going to pay 175%, put that in decimal form, times the wholesale cost. We know the wholesale cost, it is $84. We don't know the selling price at the end that we pay as the customer, so that is your unknown. Using your calculator, you're going to get $147. Didn't even have to round, not even any cents that we have to deal with here. Now, note, so far we have only been solving for the final price. Sometimes we call it the selling price. In some cases, we did solve for the original price or the wholesale cost. But if we only wanted to find the amount of tax that we pay, not the final price, but just the amount of tax, or if we only wanted to find the amount of money that an item was marked up by, then we would not do 100% plus the percent of tax or markup. For example, on problem number 7 that we just got done doing, forgive me, this is not number 7. This is, I marked this wrong. Forgive me, this is number 5. Can you fix this on your page? This is not problem number 7. This is problem number 5. My apologies here. But if you look back at problem number 5, if I only wanted to find the amount of tax that I pay, then instead of doing 100% plus the percent of tax and then putting in decimal form as 1.0725, if I just take the straight up percent and put it in decimal form, 0.0725, and I multiply it times the original price, I will get the amount of tax that I pay. Now, the reason I haven't been having you do that is because in real life, it's the final price that we are most concerned about as the customer paying for the item at a cash register or online, if we're shopping online. It's the final price we normally care about, not so much how much tax we actually paid. But I just want to put this little box here for you to let you know. If you actually wanted to know how much tax you're paying, then you wouldn't add the 100% to the percent of tax. All right, let's move on to something that could happen in some real-life scenarios. Follow along with me. Some real-life scenarios involve a percent of markup and a sales tax percentage rate. So the way you can do these problems is if you do 100% plus the markup percent, and then also do 100% plus the sales tax percent, then you can multiply each of those percent results in decimal form times the original cost, or properly said, the wholesale cost of the item, to find the final selling price. So take a look at how I spelled this out for you here in the box. As you're used to doing, 100% plus a percent of markup, but also 100% plus the percent of tax. So that's two different percentages we pay. The first one was from the markup, the second one was from the tax. You'll put both of them in decimal form times the original wholesale cost, and that will give you the final selling price. Let's do a problem together, and then you'll try one on your own. Problem number 8, find the final price of jeans whose wholesale cost is $22 if the percent of markup is 175% and the sales tax rate is 6.5%. So we have two different percentages here. We have the percent of markup as 175%. Let's go ahead and start our work. 100% plus the percent of markup means that we pay a whopping 275% of the wholesale cost. But wait, there's also sales tax. This, we're not going to add a 275%. No. Look back at what we did. We still always start at 100%. 100% plus the 6.5% means we will pay 106.5% of the marked up price. So follow with me here. 275% is 2.75 times 106.5% is 1.065. Move the decimal point 2 places to the left. And then times the original wholesale cost, which we were told was $22. And that will equal the final selling price. Now, you will be hard-pressed to find a textbook to teach you this method. Textbooks will have you do 2.75 times 22 and then get that answer, and then take that answer times 1.065. I'm giving you the absolute quickest way of doing this. You'll thank me later. So type this into your calculator, and let's see what you get. Once again, you're going to get more digits than you need. Round it to the nearest cent, $64.43. All right, let's have you try number 9 on your own, and then you will probably end up doing number 10 on your own as well. Let's see. Number 11 is a little bit different. Let's save that for a little bit later. But let's have you try 10, and if you feel confident, you can also jump to 11. Hit pause on the video, do 9 and 10, then hit play when you're ready to see how you did. All right, have you already done number 9 and number 10? 100% plus the markup percent. You pay 155% of the wholesale cost. But 100% plus the percent of tax. You pay 106.35% of the marked up price. Put those both in decimal form, 1.55, 1.0635 times the wholesale cost will then equal the final price. Using your calculator, round to the nearest cent, $75.83. If you botched this up anywhere, please feel free to hit pause and fix your work. And if the mistake you made on number 9 makes you now realize you might have messed up on number 10, then please feel free to hit pause and fix your number 10. Number 10 is unique because you kind of have to do this the correct way, and then you have to do the way that Corey in this problem thought would also work, which we're going to find out it doesn't. So, like we just learned, 100% plus the percent of markup, we're going to pay 225% of the wholesale cost. 100% plus 6% sales tax, we're going to pay 106% of the marked up cost. Decimal form, times the wholesale cost, and we get a final cost of $171.72. Now, as the story said, Corey thinks that this is the same as having a percent of increase of 131%. And I think you can see where Corey got that idea from. The markup percent plus the sales tax percent would make you think maybe this is the same as 131%. But we're going to prove that it's not. 100% plus 131% would mean that you pay 231% of the wholesale cost. And if I put that in decimal form, times the wholesale cost, do I get $171.72? No, it's less than that. It's $166.32. Kind of close, but definitely not the same thing. So if you thought that Mr. Underkoffler was withholding a faster way, and you thought the way that Corey did in this problem, well, now you can see it doesn't work that way. You can't take the markup percent and the sales tax percent and combine them to one big percent of increase. It does not work that way. You need to do them separate to get the correct final price. Okay, problem number 11. If you have not tried this problem yet, I would like for you to try it. It does bring a topic we haven't done so far in this packet of guided notes, but we did it on a previous time of guided notes, and that is the idea of tip. If you need to look up how to get tip from the previous guided notes that we did, feel free to hit pause and find that page from the past to help you on this problem. So hit pause, try number 11, all three parts, and when you're done, hit play to see how you did. Okay, have you already done number 11? If not, please hit pause now. All right, the total bill after tax, but not quite using the tip yet. 100% plus 6% means you're paying 106% of the original cost, which, by the way, this is typical for states like Pennsylvania. So multiply that times the original cost before any tax or tip, and you will get the bill of $132.45. Now, if you've ever seen your parents or grandparents pay for a bill on a receipt at a restaurant, this is the kind of thing they see. They don't see the 106%, but they see the price after tax, like you see right here. And then they figure out how much tip they're going to give. The tip we said in this problem for Mateo was 22%. Now, with tip, you do not add it to 100%. You just take the straight up percent and multiply it to the cost that you're dealing with, which we just found was $132.45. That's going to give you $29.14, but the problem said round to the nearest whole dollar, which we typically do with tips in real life. And then to get the final total price, you're going to add your tip value to the cost after tax, and that will give you your final total cost that Mateo is going to pay. And that is $161.45. All right, that concludes the guided notes on markups and sales tax. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.